The bright lights of a city that never sleeps, a city that demands and gets the very best of the best. And this week, it's no exception. The finest 9-ball players on the planet have arrived in town to compete for one of the great titles in the sport, the PartyPoker.net World Pool Masters. The very best was demanded of Dick Vandenberg, who faced the defending champion Alex Pagulayan in the first round. The Dutchman duly delivered, upsetting the form book and ensuring that he would be in the quarterfinals. Johnny Archer, the former U.S. Open champion, made light work of Imran Majid. Coming up, a battle of the sexes. Shane Van Boening faces the only female competitor, Yuram Cha. The bottom half throws up some fascinating clashes. Darren Appleton takes on Raj Hundal, while Mika Immonen plays Fu Jianbo. Each match a straight race to 8, with the winner breaking.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to the Riviera Hotel and Casino here in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's the PartyPoker.net World Pool Masters, brought to you by Matchroom Sport. Well, it's time now to meet our players, and it's time to meet the 2007 US Open champion from South Dakota. He's called the Shooter, Shane Van Boening. And ladies and gentlemen, from Korea, she is the #1. She's called the Little Lightning, Yuram Cha. And our referee in charge of the action from Scotland is Michaela Tabb.
Okay.
So the lag to kick off this mouth-watering prospect. Shane Van Boening versus Yuram Cha. Little Lightning, they call her. I have to confess, I haven't seen her play, Phil, but you've seen her on television.
Yes, and they say that lightning doesn't strike twice. Well, in this match, she needs to strike 8 times. Shane Van Boening, yes, with his reputation and playing record, he should be a heavy favourite.
Shane Van Boening wins the lag.
But he's under immense pressure. He's carrying a lot more than personal pride here, isn't he?
First rack, Shane Van Boening to break.
We've said this before, and you know, you can be accused in these situations of being sexist. It isn't, it's just realistic. In the world of professional sport, when a man against a woman arrives on the list, you just know it's going to be a different dynamic.
Rack #1, Van Boening breaks off. The race to 8 commences now. And he's had an opportunity to see just how this table is broken, and he didn't measure it up well enough there. An illegal break. And just to remind you the rules of the break, a ball pocketed, but 2 have to pass the head string. And you can see that that one didn't quite get there. So that's an illegal break. Control passes to you. And her choice now to either take this shot or put Van Boening back in. And players also have to think about that 40-second shot clock that will be employed. And she's putting Van Boening back in. Little Lightning back to her chair.
Yeah.
Yes, Little Lightning, and only a very small amount of English. There might be a communication problem if some kind of complex rules situation occurs.
Well, I heard Michaela Tabb at the outset just checking to make sure she understood English, because she had to explain the rules to her. And so you understands the rules now about the break and shot clock. Well, she gambled and won there. She put Van Boening back in, and the decision proved the right one.
Yes, even though she's in Las Vegas, I don't think she'll be doing an awful lot of actual gambling. She's a devout Christian. And actually on her MySpace page it said that the 2 best things in her life are getting closer to God and travelling to the USA.
Oh, a little unlucky where that cue ball's dropped. Right over top the 8 in the middle of the table. So slightly hampered cue. Well, very hampered cueing. Could have gone anywhere but there, and this would have been considerably easier. So a test of cueing early here from you. Boy, if she can knock in a few balls here, get a feel for the conditions and just settle into this match and win a couple racks, there'll be immense pressure on Shane Van Boening. And again, just to let you know, Van Boening was a first-round loser last year. Imran Majid, who just bowed out to Johnny Archer, took Van Boening out last year in the opening round. So and this is a nice hit. And she heard the 10-second buzzer. Pulled the trigger even though she heard it. So good concentration.
From what we've seen so far, Jim, it's a very fluent stroke she's got. Left-handers always look good, I think, in any sport, and she's got good form.
Yeah, I'm a little partial to left-handers myself. Being one. Nice shot from you. And now she's done all the hard work in the opening rack. Bringing Van Boening back to the table, even though it was an open look at the one, proving the right decision. And what seeds of doubt has she planted with that?
Well, first impressions, what an inspired choice by Matchroom Sports to invite her. Not overawed, is she?
Just slightly mishit that. Went into the left-hand side of that corner, and that's why position isn't perfect on the 8. She'd like to have been dead straight on this. Still shouldn't pose any problems. And to open her account in her first PartyPoker.net Whirlpool Masters, Yu Ram Cha looks at the 9 and gets it. She takes the first rack, clears up from the Van Boening miss to lead 1-0. A 1-0 lead. And now we're going to get a chance to see Little Lightning's break. From the side of the table, preferred by left-handers. Well, she's lost the cue ball.
Oh, shot.
Just a little too much power, and erring on the side of power.
Start the clock.
And not happy with that effort. One more look at it, just too much topspin, kicks in there.
And the result is just the kind of opening that Van Boening would have wanted.
I like seeing the look of disgust on her face, Phil. Sorry about cutting in there, because you know it shows that competitive edge, doesn't it? Like these players, they raise the bar on their games. Well, they demand perfection and settle for nothing short. Oh, wayward shot from Van Boening again. Trying to use the 9 to hold position to the 4, and he's lost the cue ball. Nifty little shot, though, just to retrieve it. But it's not as easy as it could have been. And the angle here is going to take that cue ball very close to the 6, so the speed that he plays this, imperative. Nicely judged.
Yes, he's made hard work of this, but if he can get back onto level terms, I'm sure a few butterflies will be quelled.
What he needs to do is he needs to get back to the table breaking and get a feel for the way this table is breaking too, Phil. You know, Shane with a monstrous break. And he's got the type of game that, you know, he can steamroll his opponent. And the last thing he wants to do is give you any sort of reason to believe that she can win this match. Because Shane knows he's a massive favorite. But he did admit to having watched her play before against his girlfriend, and so he's familiar with her ability. And that gets it back to a 1-1 score. The former U.S. Open champion Shane Van Boening and Yu Ram Cha from South Korea deadlocked, with Van Boening to break in rack number 3.
Welcome back to Vegas for the World Pool Masters. The match between Van Boening and Yu Ram Cha perfectly poised after the opening 2 racks as we join the action in the 3rd rack.
This match now over to the same area of the table that he saw Yu break from. And he'll control that white a lot better than she did. And this time a legal break, and a few balls find their way to pockets. And that's where the happy news ends. Just the possibility of a bank shot here, the only attacking option. And if he wants to try and run for cover.
Extension.
And quickly Shane asks for his extension. So he's got plenty of time now.
Not surprised he hit the far jaw there. I think he was a little concerned that maybe the one would straighten up and make contact with the white. And that's why it went into that far jaw. And so another chance for Yu Ram Cha.
Yeah, and Shane doesn't look happy. I mean, he's slouched in his chair. You know, his body English is very negative.
Well, the scheme of things for him, if he wins, it'll be, so what? You're expected to. If he loses, you'll never hear the last of it.
Oh, straight into the center pocket. Right now, the pockets have been the bane of Yu Ram Cha's existence in this PartyPoker.net World Pool Masters. That always looked like tracking towards that side pocket, the cue ball on that shot. She obviously didn't see it that way. You'll see very little emotion, as you would expect from these Asian stars in cue sports. They keep their emotion in check. Oh, Shane, he's overhit that by some margin. He's fighting it right now. That's very evident.
Yes, it's a horrible place to be, a no-win situation.
Great touch. The sort of shot that you really have to have confidence in your cueing ability to be able to slow roll those.
Crisp.
Even though he's been shaking his head in this match, he's looking like going one clear. But again, you know he's not happy with his game.
And he's been the beneficiary of a couple of Yu Ram Cha scratches. And that's why he's going to be 2-1 ahead. It's not been at all convincing.
Well, been more a case of what Yu hasn't done as opposed to what Shane has. But either way, it's a 2-1 score. Never says who, just how. Well, you know what I mean. 2-1 to Shane Van Boening over Yu Ram Cha. Many in attendance here at the Riviera Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas came to watch the battle of the sexes. First round action, the race to 8. Shane Van Boening, highly touted, respected in the world of top flight pool, up against a female counterpart in Yu Ram Cha, only 21 years of age. Yu. We see Shane's break successful. I don't know what he's got on this one, if anything. Certainly an easy hit off the cushion. Oh, even better. And he should be able to get through to this 3 to play a good attacking safety. He's just looking where he wants to lay that cue ball. Behind cover.
Extension.
Well, one option here, Phil. A very thin hit. Side cushion to drop behind those 2 colors, the bottom end of the table.
Yes, they do provide a rather inviting target, don't they?
Well, either way, that's where he's got to get that cue ball. Just depends on his preference in the path of the cue ball. Yeah, he's gone for the thin hit. Now, is he there? And he's left a chance for you. See, he caught that too thick. If he'd have hit it thinner, he might even have left that 3 behind the 8. So just a little thicker than he would have liked, and still shaking of the head from Van Boening, even though he's 2-1 in front.
Just what I was going to say, Jim. You know, the body language screams anxiety, doesn't it? Every time he plays a shot that might be just a little askew, he's not happy.
He does not want to be put under pressure. And as the scoreline mounts, and if Yu stays with him, he will be under pressure. Cue ball is going to be coming down very near that bottom right-hand corner. Well, how about that? How about that little shot? She raises her hand, totally misjudged that, missed the ball altogether, and has just completely handcuffed Van Boening. Wow, look at this.
They call Las Vegas Fun City. Shane Van Boening is not having fun at the moment. Take it from me.
Oh, he's fluked a 9. He's having fun now. Well, he raises his hand that time. And Lady Luck comes back to repay Van Boening. It's 3-1 over Yu Ram Cha. South Dakota kid comes out of his chair. Former U.S. Open champion. Former BCA Open champion. 3-1 clear, breaking in rack 5. The cue ball catching that side point, the wrong end of the table as far as Van Boening is concerned.
Well, the 2's in the open, so is the 3. If this goes in, a rich harvest.
Well, that was never going to be easy. But he played it in a manner where expected to get it safe, I think. But Yu's had her chances in this match.
Yes, you were saying that Shane Van Boening is a former US Open champion. In last year's US Women's Open, Yu Ramchar announced herself to an American audience. She beat a lot of good players, Gerda Hofstadter, Pan Xiaoting from China, and in the quarterfinals, Karen Kaur 7-5 before losing a deciding rack 7-6 to the Filipino Iris Renola in the semi-finals. So obviously a pedigree there, even though she's still at the tender age of 21.
Tricky shot, this one. Got to be careful. No. She's caught it a little thick again. She was going for the side cushion behind the colors, and just a little wayward, but this wasn't easy. And she hasn't left Van Boening anything simple with which to start. He's a terrific shot maker. And there's a clear example of that. He generates so much cue power. He's got very long forearms. You know, with minimal amount of effort, he can make that cue ball dance. No.
It is just not what you expect. He's out of his comfort zone.
Well, and trying to make it look a little too casually there for me. I mean, that was the shot that really would have cemented victory in this rack. It was due more care, more concern.
As I watch this, can't help but think back to the time when Alison Fisher played in the Matchroom Snooker League for the first time. And the first time she beat a male opponent was Neil Foulds, 5-3 it was, and Foulds was absolutely distraught. Pulled his phone out of the wall, no mobiles in those days, wouldn't take calls for a couple of days, even from his best friends. He said he felt terrible because he was the first male professional snooker player to lose to a woman.
Nicely played, maintaining the angle on the 7 to play the 8 into the same pocket.
Alison Fisher, of course, has gone on to tremendous success on this side of the Atlantic in women's pool. And Yu Ramchar is obviously a very accomplished cue woman herself.
And 3-2 confirmed. Shane Van Boening just one rack in front. Charlie Williams, the Korean Dragon, looking at one of his pupils, no doubt. 3-2 to Van Boening.
Welcome to Las Vegas and the famous Riviera Hotel here on the Strip. It's Van Boening against Yu Ramchar for a place in the quarterfinals of the World Pool Masters. It's the 6th rack as we get back to commentators Jim Weiss and Phil Yates.
The only female competitor in the PartyPoker.net World Pool Masters. Again, breaking from the left. She'll want to keep that cue ball under control this time. Her last break saw that cue ball dive into the corner pocket, and there she parks it in the middle. That was a much better break, even though it hasn't afforded her anything easy. But she nailed that break.
And as we know from golf in particular, Korean women, when they get their teeth into a sport, can be dominant.
Difficult shot. If she's looking to try and make that 6, this is very dodgy. Now she gave it a try. Tried Tried to play the billiard onto the 6 from the 2. And Shane looking to duck once again. Oh, that's a great shot. Great touch. Just a smattering of applause. Again, a testament to the fact that we've got a very partisan crowd here in favor of you. They really do want to see her, create a shock result.
Yes, it's a very lonely place for him at the moment out there. But when you're under pressure, when you're nervous, it's that kind of touch shot that is the toughest to play, and so every credit.
Extension.
Using her extension. In this, the 6th rack. Buys herself another 40 seconds. So it looks like she's playing this at a bit of speed. And it hasn't worked out. She would have needed to be lucky with the 2 ball and the cue ball headed in the same direction. She looks disgusted with how that one's unfolded.
Slammed the cue down.
I like that, Phil. I really do. I mean, I like seeing that competitive edge. I remember when I was in high school and our basketball coach, who happened to be an Olympic basketball player in Canada, and he said, well, he used to go look for the people with the worst temper during the afternoon practices, and those are the ones he asked to come and try out. He wanted competitive athletes.
Extension.
Quickly, Van Boening uses his extension. Well, he obviously doesn't like it. He's nicely onto the 3. The 4 to the 6. He needs that angle from the 4 to the 6, and he's accomplished it nicely. So again, I think he's seeing all the negatives instead of the positives.
It's a recurring theme under pressure. You see problems that aren't necessarily there. So he's not thinking about winning and the implications of that. He is thinking about the implications of losing, how bad it would feel and what it would mean to him. He's not thinking about, if I can win this, I'll be through to the quarterfinals and off and running in one of the world's biggest events.
Yeah, they always say, though, Phil, you've got to just block your opponent out. When you're at the table, nothing else, no one else exists. Easier said than done. Oh, that's a nice strike.
Yes, the reward for the winner of this, by the way, is a very tough match against either Holland's Niels Feijen or Malta's Tony Drago.
Around the back of the 9. Well, it was a mistake from you in the kick, and Shane has punished her. And how many racks it's going to cost her, only time will tell. But Van Boening once again 2 clear, 4-2 in front, and with the break to come in lucky rack number 7. From Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Van Boening would love to put the Whirlpool Masters title on his resume. One of the up-and-coming young stars. And, we say that, and he's proven now. He's 4-2 in front. That's a legal break, but I haven't heard anything go down. Well, just catches the cue ball, and you almost heard a sound of groaning from the crowd as the ball went down. But he's got no shot, at least apparently no shot at the 1.
You see, the problem is, all of the wives in the crowd are supporting Uram Charp, and all of the husbands are frightened to support Shane Van Boening.
Now the push here, I think you will probably bring Shane back in. There's just no point in going at this one if you can't get position to the 2. Unless she sees a good aggressive safety option. And she could certainly put some distance between the cue ball and the 1 if she opts for that. But
well, when she's had to pod balls,
Extension.
she's been up to the task. I think the weakness so far we've seen in what is a very small sample, we know just 6 racks, but the weakness we've seen so far I think is just a little bit of tactical rawness.
yeah, and that's what Shane has to try and bring to the fore in this match. She's had a look to see if the 6 passes down the bottom left, so a real sign that she's going at this. And she got it. What a great shot. What a great shot from you there. Well, the 2 is available. Referee Michaela Tabb has just walked by to have a look. Almost looks like a split shot for the 2 and the 9 as we see the 1 again tracking into the corner. Great shot, great opening shot from Yu Rem Cha. Still a long ways from home in this rack. Well, you know, you talked about her lack of tactical expertise. For me, I don't see the value in shooting the 1 if the 2 wasn't available. And I just assumed the 2 went from where she left the cue ball because she struck the 1 so well.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it, in cue sports? Why take a risk if there's no reward?
Oh, very lucky. Raising his hand to apologize. He's 4-2 in front, Van Boening, at this stage.
And already the beneficiary of a huge slice of good fortune in the 4th rack when he fluked a 3-9 combo out of a snooker.
Well, I can carry the flag for the men. Oh, she's made it? Oh, so nearly. A great effort from you. But in that rack that you allude to, you had really gotten lucky with the snooker. So it was almost anything you can do, I can do better. And Shane got the last laugh. That was almost a terrific shot from Yu Rem Cha.
Yes, actually, if it had been the other way around, it would have been anything you can do better. Now, this is what they dream about, players at this level. It should be just routine.
Connect the dots, Phil. This is nothing more than just letting that back arm go. Everything's in the open.
And as he inches ever closer to that winning line, I think he will feel better and better. Not there yet, though. Not by a long way.
No, but he does need to get a little distance between himself and you. If for no other reason, just to take that little bit of pressure and the thoughts that you alluded to early in this match, Phil, about thinking more about losing than winning. Try and dispel those thoughts. The closer you get to the finish line, you do start thinking about winning. And that gives Van Boening a 3-rack advantage now, 5-2.
Welcome back to the World Pool Masters here in Vegas. American superstar Shane Van Boening piling the pressure on Yuram Cha. He leads 6-2, needing just 2 racks for a place in the quarterfinals. Commentary comes from Jim Weish and Phil Yates.
Shane Van Boening practices at Lucky Billiards. So far, 2 flukes and a fluke snooker at a vital time. Hence, he's in control.
It's been far from convincing, though. I mean, Yu has had a lot of opportunities in this, and if not for a few breaks, now this scoreline could be a lot closer than 6-2. You mentioned that he practices at Lucky's Billiards. Well, he better practice there. He owns it.
Hence the name, you see. Had the rolls gone the other way, we could have been quite easily here thinking about a major upset.
Well, we've had one major upset in this event already. Defending champion Alex Pagulayan going out at the first hurdle. Mind you, I say an upset. Some may not say quite the upset of note. Nick Vandenberg, recently crowned European champion, took out Pagulayan 8-2. I think what was surprising was the ease in the score in that first round match. And Yu was looking to try and follow suit with a big upset over Van Boening. Well, that would have been a massive result, wouldn't it?
We've talked about Archer's fortune, but it also has to be said that on a couple of occasions, Yuram Cha has not played the best of safeties. That was a case in point.
Well, Shane's lost the cue ball a little bit here. It's going to just take one good shot on this too to retrieve the situation, get him back on track. The 3 in the middle of the table, just nearest the cue ball. So you'll just want to play this off 2 cushions and just spin the cue ball back towards the middle of the table. Well, he's drawn off the cushion. Boy, he's got some cue power. And now again, just the wrong side of this 3 to get back over for the 4 next. A little bit more cue power on display.
Hits it so sweetly, Jim.
Well, those long forearms that I talk about, Phil, I mean, he generates so much cue power with a minimal amount of effort and virtually no body movement from the shoulders up. A lot of players almost have to move and lift up to get out of the way to free that arm. But it's almost like he was genetically born to play pool.
Well, the product of a pool dynasty, as we've talked about on previous occasions when we've been in the broadcast booth together. Mother, good player, grandfather also, aunt. It runs in the family.
His grandmother was a champion as well.
The international tide has been running against America over the last few years in the world of pool. But in Holland last year, Shane Van Boening teamed up with Rodney Morris to give the good old USA the World Cup of Pool title. I think that filled him with an enormous amount of pride. I'm not saying he's tipped the balance back in favour of the land of the stars and stripes when it comes to pool, but certainly it's put them back in there fighting.
He had to hit that with some force. He knew it. And this is ugly. I mean, he's left you a chance at the 8, but that cue ball is heading away from the 9. Another look. Just about fluked that into the side pocket. Well, that would have been horrible as far as you and her supporters are concerned, but Shane hasn't done badly. And Yu is going to have to pull out a little bit of South Korean magic to get position here. And if there's anything, I can't see it. I think all she can do is just try and drop this in, leave the cue ball. Being left-handed will help her here. If she can just drop this in, get the cue ball over the left-hand side of the table. At least she gives herself a chance.
Well, this is not only a 9-ball for you, Ramchar, it's a lifeline.
Oh. Ball looked like it was half down. And that is going to mean 7-2 to Van Boening. So once again, he survives a horrible miss. And Shane Van Boening, the beneficiary of a miss from Yu Ram Cha there on the 9. One more look at it. Everything but in the pocket, and the bowed head said it all. (7-2). Van Boening wanting one more for a place in round 2. The break, his last break of this match, and it's a good one. Though he may have to content himself with a safety on this one. Well, Darren Appleton had told us that he had been watching Van Boening and Pagulayan in their matches leading up to this particular event. They were playing a couple money matches head-to-head, just good match play, and he said neither one of them really impressed him. Well, truer words have never been spoken, because Pagulayan looked far from impressive, and in fairness, Van Boening hasn't looked impressive either.
Well, after the break off there, he tapped his chalk on the wooden cushion rail in frustration. Don't know why. If he feels aggrieved about the way the balls have run in this match, he has the world's most selective memory.
I think this is one that Shane just wants to get out of the way and then let the tournament start in his mind.
Extension.
Now you will have to clear that pink 4 for position on the 2. And she hasn't done it. So that's a full ball snooker, not nearly hard enough. So she's going to be kicking at this.
And of course, it would be rather symmetrical if Van Boening were to win this rack, because it would mean our first 3 matches had all resulted in 8-2 scorelines. And now that's the most likely scenario.
Absolutely right. The winning line has just appeared for Van Boening. And the crossed arms from Yu. I think in her mind she's given this one up too, giving it up for lost. Just slightly overhit that.
Not a lot of traffic down this end of the table, and certainly not on the left-hand side as he looks at the table, and so that helps to avoid things. Now back on track, although, again, still not a certainty.
If Shane does go on to win this, he'll play the winner of the Niels Fye and Tony Drago match. And he'll have to play considerably better than he has here.
Yes, I think there are extenuating circumstances, as you've referred to, Jim, but I agree wholeheartedly. This has not been anywhere near his best performance.
But a win is a win is a win. And in the end, it's going to be an 8-2 score to Shane Van Boening as he offers congratulations to our Lone Lady competitor who now departs the event, Yu Ram Cha. Van Boening through to the second round.
Still to play in this half of the draw, Tony Drago and Niles Fine. In the bottom half of the draw, there's Suke, Appleton, or Koyo and Immonen to whet the appetite in this year's PartyPoker.net World Pool Masters.